Hey everyone. So this week I thought I'd do something a little bit different and take a little trip down memory lane, talk about some of the underrated cartoons from the 90s that I enjoyed as a kid. Now, um, some of these have developed cult followings over the years, while others are still pretty underrated. Um, but anyway, let's just get right into it. These are kind of some ideas. Part of the reason I wanted to do this, I'm sure, some of you, maybe you're looking for some shows to binge watch or something, so I guess these are kind of a few suggestions, with all the shit going on right now. So, first we have Conan the Adventurer, which, actually, I remember watching this when I was a kid, but, I never really watched it. I don't remember watching it, in recent years. I actually this was like a whim buy from quite a few years ago, so, yeah, we'll just skip that one. So, first we have King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Now, I remember this from when I was really young. This was a very cool show. It was a cool idea. It takes place, the King Arthur, Lancelot, and all of them were imprisoned, in some kind of spell by the evil queen. At least I think she's a queen. Whatever. Sorceress queen, whatever. Anyway. So, from the future, a team of football players, from high school football players, are transported into the time to take place of King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. And it's like, oh yeah, the leader or the quarterback, whatever, just happens to be named Arthur King. That's a coincidence. And then there's also just happens to be a kid named Lance. But, that aside, it is actually a very awesome show. The music's really good, the animation is very fluent, and some of the knights just look, I don't think there's really any, the pictures on here aren't really that great, the screenshots, whatever you want to call them, but the knights, look awesome, their armor and stuff. There's one that's this, I forget his name, he's this Hispanic kid who's unfortunately not in a lot of episodes, because his armor looks awesome. It's green and blue, and then the main villain, which I mentioned, is that, Queen Sorceress, along with, this guy called Lord Viper, who looks like a G.I. Joe Cobra villain, and then they have, all these rock warrior type characters, which, you can actually see some of them on the back here. But yeah, very good show, I highly recommend it. Next we have Bucky O'Hare, based off the comic book line. This is kind of like Star Fox in a way. You have, these animal people or animal characters and stuff. There's some of them on the back there, as you can see. It's Bucky O'Hare along with his comrades, like Jenny, who I believe is a cat or maybe a rabbit or something. I don't know. But Deadeye Duck, he was always my favorite, as well as some others. And they fly around in this ship, this mercenary group, as they battle the evil Toad Empire. It's a pretty cool show, actually. It's not great, but not bad. It's a great. There was also a game of it for the NES, which is unfortunately rare and expensive. Because that's one of, if not the best licensed game on the NES. I actually have a repro card of it. So that would be your best bet if you want to play it. That or emulator, either or. Trust me, it's a great game. It's pretty much like a cross between. It's almost like a cross between Mega Man and Little Samson. This next one is a bit of a stretch because it's not a cartoon, but it is animated. It's clay animation, stop animation. It's Bump in the Night. It's about this green monster called Bumpy, and then his friend Squishington, or Squishy, who, this blue guy right here, he's Bumpy lives under the bed, Squishington lives in, the bathroom. And then you have this, ragdoll character called, what the hell is her name? Molly. And there's a few other characters, too. They come out at night and get into all kinds of little shenanigans and stuff. It's a pretty funny show. It's some, it's very well made. The animation is very well done and stuff. And there's familiar voices, or voice actors, but, Jen Cummings, Rob Paulson, and Gail Mathias. Sorry, I can't talk today. But like I said, it's a funny show, and a lot of people don't really talk about it that much. It's definitely worth taking a look at. A couple the ones that I don't physically own that I want to talk about real quick. One of them is called Bots Master, which was a show that I loved as a kid. It's about... I remember my brother and I used to watch that all the time. It was this kid named Zoolander, not to be confused, or by kid, not to be confused with the Ben Stiller movie, but Zoolander. Well, by kid I mean like teenager, young adult. But him and his kid sister Blitzy, and then they have like this a bunch of robots, and they battle against this evil organization. And then when there was like action scenes, you'd put on these special 3D glasses, which I think they came with like the toilet or something. But it sounds like a cool show, but unfortunately I don't think it's aged well. Like the voice acting is pretty bad, and maybe it's just me, but the animation feels a bit off. Like and the the robots, they kind of look like cheap play school toys or something. I don't know. It's just I loved it as a kid, but now it's just like I go back and watch a lot of shows that from when I was a kid, and it's like some are like, okay, this one still holds up really well, but this one it doesn't really have that same feel to it. Another one that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about was a show called B.A.D., the Bureau of Alien Detectors. Now, the best way to describe this is it's almost like a cross between X-Files and Men in Black. It's like this sci-fi drama series, and it's actually it holds up really well. You have this group of agents who I haven't watched in a while, but you have this group of agents who like team up to battle against like aliens, like try and drive them from Earth. And that's one of the great things about this show is that each and every episode has like a different alien species. It's a very good show. Other one, where the hell did I put that? I thought I had it up here. Oh well, there's a show called. It's around here somewhere. I know I have the first season, but it's a show called Exo Squad, which this show. Another like sci-fi drama type series. It takes place like 400 or 500 years from now, and there's this advanced species called Neo Sapiens that were genetically enhanced. They were created as slaves to colonize Mars and Venus, but eventually they start to realize, like, wait a minute, we're clearly being used or something. So they rebel against the humans, and a war breaks out between the humans and the Neo-Sapiens. And this is where the series picks up, is like in the middle of the war between the two races. And it's a very good show. My brother and I used to watch it all the time back when we were kids. There was also a toy line, because they used like the humans and Neo-Sapiens used these like robot mechs. My brother had quite a few of them. I had one, which I think I still have it, even though it's like missing parts and stuff. But it was awesome show, and it still holds up really well. And I remember how Series 2 had ended with like a bit of a cliffhanger, because there was this alien species that came to Earth that's like more deadly, if you will. So the humans and Neo-Sapiens team up and plan to fight, combine their forces to battle this new threat. Unfortunately, the show had like low ratings, and I think there was some kind of legal mumbo jumbo and stuff, so the third season never happened. Yep, 26 years later, and I'm still pissed. Nah, I'm just kidding. But it sucks, because it was a great series, and like I said, and it's very hard to come by. Like I was lucky to find season 1 on in Walmart for like $5. I don't know if you can still find that or not. I don't think season 2 was ever released. I don't know if it's on Netflix or anything. It's all kinds of, like I said, it's all kinds of legal mumbo-jumbo stuff. It's a hard show to come by, but if you can find it, definitely watch it, because it's a very great series that still holds up very well today. Even though, unfortunately, Season 3 never happened. But next, we have SWAT Cats, the Radical Squadron, which was made by Hanna-Barbera. Now, the best way to describe this, it's almost like, kind of like Batman, but with cats or cat people, because they have all kinds of like goofy gadgets and gizmos to battle evil forces that try to take over Mega Cat City. And they also have a jet, which, well, you can kind of see it out in the background there. See, it's like right above his fist there, taken off. And everything is cat, like Mega Cat City, Turbo Cat, SWAT cats. Even if you don't like cats, it's a great show. Because it's one of those shows that I had trouble staying on the air for being too graphic because, well, it does have a lot of graphic type stuff in it. It's like if you compare something like this to something like Looney Tunes, where Looney Tunes, it was more like slapstick type of stuff. Somebody would have an anvil dropped on them, then they'd be they'd be like flat or an accordion shape or something, then they'd be perfectly fine. Whereas shows like this, people were actually killed or maimed. But there's a number of recurring villains in this. My favorites would have to be Dr. Viper and the Metallicats, and the action in this is very good. It's like one of those action cartoon series. The animation's very fluent. The music is awesome. But yeah, it's I'm sure it's on Netflix, or if you can find it on DVD or something. It's definitely a show worth checking out. There's only 25 episodes. There was planning to be more, but unfortunately those never happened. And it has like a good like blend of comedy in it as well. It's like an action adventure type series, but there's plenty of like little goofy moments in it as well. Some puns and all that. And actually, one of the characters, T-Bone, was voiced by the infamous Charlie Adler, probably my favorite voice actor of all time. Because that guy voiced so many characters from my childhood. So the last one, I don't have it on DVD, but I actually, because all the episodes are on YouTube, I put them all onto a VHS tape, and that's Mighty Max. Mighty Max, which was like a lot of things, it was a cartoon created to push a toy line. The toy line, which was basically the boys' version of Mighty Max. I actually have a few of them here. I never had them as a kid, but in recent years I have bought some. Like, there's a good example of one right here. Actually, one I did have a couple of the shrunken heads when I was a kid. It's like if you open it up, you have a little play set inside. Like here's the eyeball guy. Max is around here. So there was a couple of other figures, but they're somewhere in this box here. But yeah, that was Mighty Max. It was such an awesome show. Even though I didn't really have any of the toys other than the shrunken heads as a kid, it was such a great show. My brother and I watched that, like, I think it was on, like, well, at the time it changed around a bit, but it was on, like, weeknights at one point, like in the mid-90s. It was on, like, weeknights at, like, 6 or 6:30 or something. My brother actually recorded a bunch of them. He had that VHS tape for years, and we used to always watch it. We'd, like, binge watch it, but it features this kid, Max, who has this cap which allows him to use a portal to transport from all over the world, and then he has a fowl who he calls a chicken. It's like a running joke throughout the series, and then Norman, who's like an ancient barbarian type guy, and the three of them battle the forces of evil. Like the main villain is Skullmaster, who's voiced by Tim Curry, but there's other characters and creatures and stuff that pop up throughout the episodes. It's a great action cartoon series. Unfortunately, one thing that is great is that the series actually has a finale, so it's not like one of those types of shows that just goes on and on and on. Like, it has closure, which, so to speak, I'm not going to give too much away, but it's a very great show. It's very graphic. Like, there's a lot of violence in there and very deep themes. Like, one of the best episodes that's very deep was called The Magnificent Seven. I absolutely love that episode, and the ending to it is pretty sad too, but like I said, I don't want to give too much away. So, like I said, those are just some of the shows that I, some recommendations if you're looking for something to watch, like you're going stir crazy ones. Here's some, looking for a little bit of nostalgia or something to binge watch. Here's some suggestions that I made. So, until next time, thanks for watching. I'm okay. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.